Hey guys, welcome back to the channel again. And as you can see from the title, we are coming back with a revived Machinedramon deck finally after lots of weird builds that I've created and lots of stuff. We are here for the BT7 Machinedramon deck profile that you've all been waiting for. This deck has been a long time in the making. Originally, when I saw how the meta has, essentially the meta as of the time of this recording, Blue Hybrid is essentially the #1 deck and is basically topping multiple events, and it is basically the deck to beat. So a deck that specifically relies on its Digivolution sources is kind of a detriment, especially level up decks. And Machinedramon is a deck very similar to those, but also very hard play reliant, which is really a detriment to this deck. But surprisingly, the deck has a really good matchup with almost every hybrid deck at the moment. It does really good against red. It does amazingly against yellow because yellow relies on deleting Digimon, which essentially just helps us power up and get ready to make Machinedramon. And they can't DP reduce us, and they can't kill us that easily, or we just re-equip and kick their ass into the ground, essentially. So, essentially, this deck has a really good matchup, and surprisingly, it has the ability to dodge around blue if you play it correctly. You are able to essentially play past most of their stuff. Sure, you give them a body that has 0 sources occasionally, but then if you can kill it, that's cool. They send it back to hand, cool as well, because as you know, Machinedramon can equip from the hand. So they send it back to your hand, no problem. You just make Machinedramon and go, hey, guess what? You just gave me a ton of memory. Awesome. Now I'm just going to go off. But anyway, let's actually get into the deck so you guys can see how it works now. So first off, for the eggs, we are still running the 4 Demi Vmons because we still are running a blue package engine to essentially allow Kaiser Nail to go off in this deck. Demi Vmon's still really cool because in conjunction with Vmon, he will automatically get you a draw no matter what, and he's hitting into security with jamming, so he's guaranteed not to die. So if your opponent doesn't have a strong enough rookie to kill it, i.e. Shakomon or possibly Madoki Betamon, then they basically can't get rid of it, and you just keep swinging into security unless they lock it. So sucks for them. Anyway, solid egg. Let's get into the rookies. We only run 8 rookies in this build, which is really very minimalistic if you think about it, but these guys do pop up and draw way more often than you might think at 8. So anyway, we have, of course, the 4 Vmons I mentioned because Vmon has jamming and is still really good. From BT3 up to now, this card is still one of the best blue cards ever made. So we run this to get an extra draw and hit into security. Then the other rookie we run is the 4 Hagurumons from EX1 because, as you know, this entire deck is machines or cyborgs. So you basically hard play this and you get to draw 2. So the 3 cost doesn't really hurt as much. So really solid card. That's all for the rookies. Now let's go into we essentially don't run level 4s in this deck because that's not the point of the deck. The point of the deck is to just get as many level 5s in hand or engrave, and then just keep drawing and gaining memory, and then just hard playing your Machinedramon. So let's get into the level 5s. We did change up the ratio this time so that the old classic collection level 5s are a little bit different. Before, I was running 2 Metal Mamemons, but I've brought it down to 1 because in this format, the popping something with 5 cost can only hit a certain amount of things, so it's not as good as you might think. Plus, it kind of helps purple a little bit too much, so we kind of reduced it down to 1 to kind of keep it like so that we have it, but we don't always have to use it, basically. Anyway, let's get into it. So we have the 2 Metal Tyrannomons, which, of course, give reboot to anything that has machine. Then we play the 2 Andromons because this gives blocker to anything that's machine type. And then the one metal Mamemon that I mentioned before. He lets you pop anything 5 cost or less when you attack, as long as it's a machine type, which is Machinedramon. So we're gonna get this off no matter what. Then we run the 2 Gigadramons to boost him on your opponent's turn, so that way when he swings in, uh, Machinedramon's going to be a 13,000 blocker, and he's going to have to get through that with Piercing or not. And Piercing does specifically specify that the Digimon has to be deleted and your guy has to survive. So as long as he survives and he doesn't die, Piercing does not go through technically. So that's the best part about Machinedramon, is that he cannot die when he blocks, and the fact is that he has to die for Piercing to resolve, basically, and without him dying, no security checks for Jespon either, or for Red, which is awesome. Then we played the 2 Megadramons to give, of course, blocker just in case we don't get this. Then the last of the black level 5s, we run the 1 Volcanomon because this does give you security +1 if your opponent does has an unsuspended Digimon, which is basically most of the time because they're not going to swing into your big Machinedramon, so then you're guaranteed to get this to go off, which is really nice. Then for the red level 5s, we are running 2 War Growlmons. I've actually been testing this, and this card is actually really good because in conjunction with something, if you combo this with Chaos Dramon, this card pops off because you essentially you get to kill one of the rookies. It doesn't matter what you kill, but the fact that it gives you an extra security in conjunction with Volcanomon and one of the others, you're essentially hitting for like 3 to 4 security when you swing, and the fact that you get to delete something off of it. So you basically are just like, okay, I get to kill something, cool, whatever, and you get bonuses off of it. That's even better. So having this at 2 is really nice. I know some people in their builds, they're running the new Metal Greymon from BT7, the hard play one that lets you play a Tamer, but I like this because it gives you that extra security +1. I mean, sure, the other one can give you a memory, but if you combo it properly, you won't really have to care about memory half the time. But yeah, so we have the 2 War Growlmons. Then we have one of the old starter deck Metal Greymon. This is the alternate art from it from the Tamers pack. Basically, when they would, if they even have a blocker out, they're going to give you 3 memory because of this card, which is really nice. So I keep at least 1 copy in just in case if they do have a blocker, because then I can use that to just do more combos until I can basically break through. Then we play one of the Metal Greymon from Classic Collection because it does give you Piercing just in case if they do have a blocker. This format is very non-blocker heavy, so you won't absolutely need this card, but it is a really fun card to have just in case if they do. So yeah. Then we run the 1 Megadramon that gives you +2,000 on your turn, which is really nice because then Machinedramon becomes a 13,000 attacker. Then we run 1 Megadramon, which the one from Classic Collection, because it does give security +1 to any machine type. So in conjunction with Volcanomon and War Growlmon, you're essentially swinging for 4, as I mentioned. So really nice. That's all the level 5s we run. We run about, let's see, let's actually count them out so you can see. We run about 16. Normally, as I mentioned before, I like to go with 12, but the thing is with how the meta is working right now, you want to just see as many in your hand as possible along with Machinedramon so you could just hard play him and set him up. So having all the level 5s at 16 guarantees that you're going to see it a lot, and it makes a lot of your other cards more live, like Hagurumon. So having it at 16 is really nice. That's all for level 5s. Let's get into the level 6s now. So level 6s, of course, we have the main heart of the deck, Machinedramon, of course. Machinedramon, of course, is really busted. On play, you just equip 5. You regain the 5 memory off of that, and it can't be DP reduced. And if it were to die, it can just detach 2 of its cyborgs off of it, and it survives. And the fact is that it can do that up to 2 times. So you're basically guaranteed a guy that'll survive at least 3 hits. And then by that next turn, you're basically evolving it into either a Chaos Dramon or into a Zwart or a Omni Alter S or something else. So it's really busted. And even better is in the future when we get, say, Dexmon evolving on top of that, bro. And the fact that we're also getting an option card that gives him Rush. That's insane because if you can play, there's a combo in this deck where if you make Chaos Dramon, you can equip stuff, and then if you still have this active, like out on the field, you can just Kaiser Nail and re-equip all of your machines again. like basically all your extra cyborgs, you re-equip and you make this and you push yourself back. And with the rush card, you basically are guaranteed to swing for game with this, which is really crazy. But that's not until for some other sets later. So that's only until then. For now, we're running it like this. Then, of course, we're running the 4 Chaos Dramons because Chaos Dramon is really busted, and it doesn't really hurt to evolve this on top of one of them because you can equip something from the grave. And the fact is that it pops up to the amount of cyborgs underneath. So if you already have 5, you basically pop 5 of their dudes off the board that are 6,000 DP or less, which of course hits almost everything in blue except for Beowulf and Zulongmon. So you're basically guaranteed to wipe their board if they basically still have a board. So you just basically hard play Machinedramon, and then next turn, if you still have some equipment, you basically just pop all of their hybrids, and then they're basically forced to restart their board again, which is really nice. That's all for level 6s. We run 8, of course, but let's go into the level 7s. We're running 3 Zwart defeats, we're running 1 X antibody, and we're running 1 Alter S. So Zwart, of course, helps you pop their tamers, and then Omni X helps you stop their attacks if you still have sources. And Alter S allows you to basically, most blue hybrid decks at the moment will just evolve once on top of the tamer unless it's a Beowulf, but this will allow you to basically turn them back into level 4s and then pop anything that has 5,000 DP or less, which is basically a majority of their deck. So this in conjunction with this will just wipe their boards, which is really awesome. But yeah, we run the 5 level 7s to kind of set up, and also the fact is that Zwart defeat can come out of security, so you have an extra body on the field, and if he dies, he can delete something, so you can still get rid of a lot of their board. Let's get into the option cards. The option cards are where the deck gets kind of like crazy. So here, of course, we're running the 4 ultimate connections, basically a hammer spark for this deck. And essentially, it's also a jack raid technically on occasion, so it's really crazy. Especially if your opponent hits into this insecurity, you can basically pass it over to your turn for a game, which is really nice. Then we run the 3 Kaiser Nails because this card is really busted and helps you set up another Machinedramon by detaching it from a Chaos Dramon and re-equipping stuff from the trash. Then this is where my build kind of is a little bit different from most people. I do still play the 1 Ice Wall because this does kind of come in clutch occasionally, so I like having at least 1. And then, of course, I'm playing the 1 Cocytus Breath because occasionally having this insecurity can essentially clutch you to game, so I just like having 1 just in case. Then for Tamers, um, yeah, hold on. These are all the option cards, and then for all the tamers, we only run 4 analog boys because we want to see this as soon as possible, and we want to discard as soon as possible, and it helps us essentially grab our Machinedramons and discard the rest, which is essentially what you're trying to do. And the fact is that if Machinedramon were to die, you can just tap this and basically just gain a memory and hatch an egg. So it's really powerful, really strong of a card in this deck, and is essentially crucial. As I said, this deck is built to play in the meta, and it does amazingly, and I mean this amazingly, against most hybrid decks. The only deck that it will struggle and have a really like 50-50 matchup is blue, because blue strips sources, and this deck needs sources. But as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, if you can play around it, you will be successful in beating them, at least to some degree, and you will at least get some wins. Which is really nice about this deck is the fact that it can adapt to the meta, and the fact that it does have a good matchup against a lot of decks right now. So really awesome. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'm glad to be bringing back Machinedramon again. Let me know what you thought of this deck. All that. Any advice, if you want to like put it out in the comments, I'm happy to comment. I'm happy to respond to them and reply to them. So anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.